What is going on, everybody? My hair is very greasy. How are we doing, folks? Will and his channel Industries back from the brink. Will and his motherfucking channel. You thought he was canceled. We might be after today's episode. Talking about some really uncomfortable topics today. Nico Bates, Max's new articles are pretty good. Why was the Destiny report so ass? That is a very good question. Yeah, Max is he's a pretty good writer. Doesn't really make any sense. Alright, I'm gonna hit up Eldrazi. We're gonna get connected with the boy, and yeah. Oh, he's already in my chat. On my server. Alright. What up, what up? Hello there.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Alright, let's see if I crash. Hold on.
Music.
Hello? Oh,
And,
didn't crash. We're good.
Shoot. Oh, this happened to me yesterday too. That's so goofy. So I have Discord popped out. Oh, I had it. It sort of went away. Okay.
Let me know if all the audio is good, chat. I appreciate you in advance.
There we go. Now I can read. How you been, man?
Oh, busy. Yeah, just super busy. It's been a lot of shit going on, honestly.
What have you been busy
What about
with?
you? Started a new job. So that's been...
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah, I started
Same
a new
stuff?
job. Yeah, I'd say so. It was a pretty large promotion. But it was just kind of scary because, like, you know, I had... It's kind of a crazy story. Like, I had planned to already leave the place that I was working at before. But I was on, like, a 9-month kind of, like, timeline, right? And they knew that I was on, like, a 9-month timeline. And they laid me off after 7 months. For some reason. Like, supposedly it was because of money or whatever, but, it was just kind of crazy. Like, I was expecting to have this job for 2 extra months, and they kind of just, you know, snook it out from under me. And, yeah, it's just whatever, you know, you never really know who you're working for, you know, it's always more about the bottom dollar, you know, than, you know,
Well, I never
caring about the
church.
employee. Yeah, real shit. Very true.
Not known
honestly.
for being a trustworthy institution.
You know, yeah. They advertise the latter.
Sure. I guess I lived in an area where it was like a big deal in the area, and I kind of learned that pretty early in life.
Yeah, I have a lot of, you know, to be fair, they were good to me for the most part, you know, but I don't know why they became so weird at the end, but it was kind of a pretty big disappointment. But you know what? It's a crazy story, dog. This is a no shit story. So, like, I was having this, I was gonna have this interview with my boss. And I was like, you know, I had been wanting something different. Like, I had already been putting out, you know, applications and shit, right? And I stood up in the front of the, like, the sanctuary, like, the altar, excuse me. I stood on the altar in front of the cross. And I thought to myself, like, God, I just need something different. Like, just give me something different, bro. Like, I'm really tired of doing the same shit all the time. And, sure enough, he gave me something different. Just not what I expected. And, but hey, it's whatever. It's worked out good so far, so. No, I was just kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things, right? It's like in a fucking movie. It's like in a movie, you know? You're like, I need some change, God. Like, give me some fucking change. And it happened. Very.
Okay, well, it's fine if you were. I just thought that I had asked you before and you weren't. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. I
No.
understand the vibe there.
Yep.
So, well, I'm glad that you got more or less got a promotion. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
how you labeled it. That's what's up, man. I've just been I filled 100 orders yesterday on my store. So, that's going.
God bless. That's
My bad. I already swallowed my drink.
are you so are you doing that full time? Like that's your main gig?
Yeah, I had a job doing cameras. And I got fired on the first week for being late on Friday. And I asked if I could come in late on Friday. And not the owner, but like the guy who's like the team lead was like, yeah, it's not a problem. Just call us when you're headed in. So he didn't give me any time restriction or anything. It's just something that had to be done during business hours. Like there was just no way to avoid, like it couldn't be done on the weekend. And like I'm 9 to 5 plus. So like it just had to be done in the morning and there was no way around it. I said, okay, cool. Ended up taking a lot longer than I thought. And when I got a hold of them, it was just basically like, "No, that's too late." I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, on my second day, I gave you guys a 16-hour shift. Like, you couldn't cut me some slack here?" They were like, "No." So I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess I don't want to work for you anyway."
Their loss. That's kind of a red flag anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made like $900 in the 4 days I worked, so it's not too bad. But and I got paid like the following Tuesday, so I didn't have to wait longer to get paid if I had stayed. So yeah, just like really hunkered down and focused more on my own business that I had going on and I still have going. Picked up a couple more collections to put on there. So like it's been pretty steady.
Nice.
But that's pretty much it. My wife's birthday is next week. So been trying to figure out what to do for her for that. I tell you what I'm getting her, but she might be watching. Today I got her an early gift. We she opened up some I got her some packs of magic cards and like some old ones. One of them was like a $25 booster pack. It's like a 15-year-old set. She
Oh my
just likes
god.
opening them more than anything else, so I thought that would be a cool gift. And I'm getting her something else later.
It is really fun to have the old booster packs. Like when we used to do like cubes and drafts and stuff, I would always bring like really old packs, even if they were ass, just because it's kind of fun.
I like drafting. I miss drafting. I haven't drafted since before COVID, so hopefully soon. Um Other than that, shit, man, I miss seeing you stream more. Uh, I've been trying to stream like so. I did a poker stream that was like pretty good a week or so ago, and then all my streams that I had lined up got canceled like right before they were supposed to. And I usually don't announce till like the day of, just in case something comes up. But like it just was like cancellation. Tomorrow, um, as far as I know, nothing's changed. We were supposed to have it last week have counterpoints. Tom, perspective, philosophy, and myself are going to play poker, and Big
Oh.
Papa Fascist, Andrew from the
Oh.
Crucible. Yeah,
Oh, my favorite. I
I
love
thought it'd be
Andrew from the
cool.
Crucible.
I think it's really funny the idea of like perspective, philosophy, and Andrew playing poker. Like in general, I think that one kind of tickles me. But it's the part of the idea is that I just want to have like a friendly game. I mean, we're playing for money, and half of the pot goes to charity. But it just, I think it'd be nice for people to see people that are so like politically opposed with each other being able to like have like a civil game. You know?
That is a really super banger online poll lineup. Uh and I think
Thank
just
you.
the idea too of like do people on the far right or the far left, or not, they're not on the far right or far left, but people on the right and the left, do they play poker differently? I think that'll be really fun. I'm honestly hyped for the stream. I'm getting into
I'm
that.
I'm really sad it got canceled because originally I also had Brianna Wu was going to be playing with us. She's super busy, and it was supposed to be last Saturday, and she had spent all week practicing for it too. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I thought that would have been even more fun. And then I guess the big like diametric opposition there would have been like still Andrew, but then and Brianna Wu playing poker together would have just been really cool to see.
I mean, that's a pretty insane lineup. I have to imagine she's probably really busy with the election season and stuff right now.
She is, so it was really cool that she had made time, and then like Andrew and Tom had to cancel, and Perspective Philosophy was sick. All of a sudden, I was like, "Shit, man, that's a really big bummer." But we're having the makeup stream tomorrow,
Nice.
and then to
With everybody but Brianna
follow.
Wu.
Yeah, I got a hold of her, and she said too she might not even been able to make the Saturday one, but she was able to. But she's just super super busy. Um, and then off the back of our conversation, I'm going to be talking to a friend of mine from Germany about how their political systems work because we talked about it a while ago, but I want to revisit it. They have like 7
Interesting.
parties.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder how they keep track of that. I wonder how the media plays into that, you know?
It's pretty interesting. So like they can form coalitions and sort of like combine forces for elections, but like the bigger ones kind of have to like make certain concessions to the smaller ones because nobody you have to get 50% of the vote or more, otherwise it's a revote. So like you kind of have to play ball with the smaller parties if you want your party to win.
It's kind of fun. It's a different little flavor of democracy.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And at the time, I think I took away with like, well, it seems like you kind of guys just have like divided up two systems, and but now maybe I think maybe might be better,
I feel that. I'm
which
watching a really
is
interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
kind of what sparked me reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Toby.
I
Yeah, so that's I was thinking about then. I was like, well, do our two parties even make sense at all?
like a part of me is starting to think that the whole two-party thing for the first time maybe like ever is actually
Hmm.
starting to go away in some ways. Um, this this lineup that we have, and here's the thing. I think it might still be like a two-party system, but I think like we're gonna see some really interesting like fractioning between the parties or inside the parties to the point where there might actually be like individual groups within the two parties that can actually like pull something through, possibly.
Well, it seems like the Republicans have like two parties. There's like traditional conservatives and like MAGA conservatives. It seems like there's like a pretty hard division there.
Yeah, hold
When
on.
I
I'm trying to look up
got
this
my
GOP
job at
debate lineup. Go ahead.
yeah, I was actually just trying to look at that. When I got my job at this card shop I worked at, first job out of COVID lockdowns and stuff. I remember talking to my boss, and you don't really want to talk to your boss about politics a lot, but it just kind of like we just sort of touched on. He said I think he said I voted Republican for 36 years of my life. And he goes, and I'm just not a Republican anymore. I said, what happened? And he just went, Trump. I, like really defeated, like he watched his political party get stolen away from him. He said somebody he golfed with, like just like completely like broke it off with him because he didn't support Trump, and he was just like, I can't support this. This is crazy. So I think that there's like people that on the Republican side who like never did support him and just can't. And then if you were a Republican and you didn't, for the people that did support him, like you're the worst kind of person.
Yeah, give me one sec.
Oh, okay. Trump's not doing the debate.
Yeah, Trump's not doing the debate at all. He's on Tucker Carlson tonight. And
He said because he has such a big lead in the polls.
which is right, which is true though. Like it's really weird. Like it kind of throws me off that a president doesn't have to like or a presidential candidate doesn't have to do the debate and still is going to lead in the polls. Like uh
Uh, it'd
I
be
don't
kind
like
of
there's
crazy for
no
him to
one
do
on
it,
this
right?
lineup. I think it is. Well, it's great he is doing it. But he's also, I mean, he's on Tucker Carlson right now. I mean, and Tucker Carlson is getting insane viewership on Twitter. Um, and
Yeah, Tucker
it
Carlson's
gets
not
to
gonna
just be
bust his
about Trump.
yeah,
Exactly.
but Tucker's not gonna bust his balls about like the indictments. If you're in a debate, everybody's gonna be like dogging on you for that.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the second debate.
Oh, is he?
Uh, yeah, he's gonna be in the second
Interesting.
debate. He just didn't want to be in this first one. Um, but I'm, it's just like I look at all the candidates currently. Uh, I mean, I think Trump is just gonna get it again. You know, like it's for me. It seems like the biggest contender it would be DeSantis. Um,
Yeah, he's like
like
a diet
uh,
Trump.
DeSantis is like Diet Trump. Yeah, in some ways. But it's like weird. Like I don't know how up your like how much you're into like podcasts and kind of like the podcasting sphere. You know, interview everybody because they do like a media tour. You know, like through all these podcasts.
Oh, sure,
And
sure.
and like Vivek Ramaswamy has been on like an insane amount of podcasts in the past month, leading up to this, and it's kind of weird. Like if you just like live online, I feel like you think Vivek Ramaswamy is like he has like a potential of becoming the candidate for president, but like he has no shot at all, like poll wise.
So
Um, you know,
I don't even know who that is. And like I watch like a handful of podcasts, but maybe not the ones that would like land here. Like I watch like the Diary of a CEO. That's
oh no
probably
no,
like my favorite one.
I
But
mean
I
more
don't
like
watch
Joe
like
Rogan. It would be like Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Sean Ryan, Concrete, like these podcasts. They're
yeah.
like they're huge. You know, they eat like such a huge chunk of the podcast space. Um,
I'm real
even
picky
though
choosy about who I watch on Joe Rogan. If I like the person, I'll watch it.
exactly.
Or if I
So I
hate the
totally
person, I'll
agree.
watch it.
Joe Rogan's podcast has gone way down. I think it used to be like significantly better quality with better guests more consistently. Um, but yeah, it's just I think it's kind of strange. I think Trump is just gonna kind of walk away with it again, and we're gonna get another Trump v Biden, and I think Trump will probably win again, and then God only knows what the fuck is gonna happen after that. Like, can Trump like, you know,
Will
pardon
he even be able to
himself or
run?
I don't know. I don't see any of these guys coming close to beating Trump. Is this the crazy part? Like they're all gonna debate each other right now, and that's gonna be just like a giant circle jerk. And then at the end of the day, Big Daddy Trump is gonna come and just fucking destroy them. It's kind of crazy.
I don't think Biden should run again.
Who would run?
Literally anybody else. Just people don't like him enough. Like I feel like he has the lovability of Hillary Clinton at this point, and it's just a bad idea to put him back up there.
Yeah,
Because
I
like
know,
I
but
don't think he's really done anything wrong, but people don't like him, and that's what really matters, right?
I mean, I agree. I don't really. I mean, he hasn't really done anything wrong, but I'm not a fan either. I'm tired of the geriatric state. Like that's my biggest thing. Um,
Like I'm fine with him. Like after Trump, like I open up Twitter or like I look at my Google News tab and I don't go, "Oh my god, Biden did what?" Like that never ever happened. So like for me, like we're chilling.
yeah,
And
no, that is
that's
like an
like
incredibly
but
good
the bar
point.
is so low.
I know. It's crazy to like so much stuff has happened like with COVID and Donald Trump being elected and all this shit, but there really was like a time where every day you'd look up the phone at your phone and there was something crazy that Trump had done. But like at the same point at the same part though, like I feel like a lot of this is just media shit too, right? Like our media is
Sure.
just I don't know. I have a hard time believing anything with the media at this point. Uh you know, even when it comes to like hurricanes in like my home city, like literally, dude, my coworkers were freaking out. They lived in like another like state and just moved here, and they were like freaking out about the hurricane. And I'm like, yo, like it snowed where you guys lived. Like snow is gonna be worse than whatever is about to happen here. Like if you just listen to the news, like they were fucking hyping it up like crazy. Um, so I don't know, man. Everybody's got to do their own research, like figure out what they want to do. Media is trash. Uh, like all the media is trash.
But it's all we got, you know? It's not like you're gonna figure any of this shit out on your own.
I know. Well, yeah, I guess the better prescription is like everybody should like read all the shit and be like super on your toes and cross reference like crazy. Cause I don't know,
Uh,
this
I
shit's
guess.
shitty.
That bar is really, really high. I think that
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the media's uh you just have to remember that they're in it to make money. That's all you have to do. Just like when you go to a store and there's a person there who is assigned the role salesman, you just have to remember that they're like you always have it in the back of your head. All right, this guy's going to try to get me to buy something I don't need. They're there to make money. I think if you remember that, it's not that hard to figure out what's going on. But if you forget that it's like all media, mainstream or otherwise, is there to make money, not to inform you, you'd probably be all right.
People don't do that though. Like I'm
That's
fine.
true.
I know you're gonna be fine. Like, but like most people, like I'm willing to say they're not fine currently. They're not fine. Like, cause they don't do that. You know?
Yeah, they don't. um,
Yeah, it's
but
very
they also don't
concerning.
do their own research either. So maybe just having it in the back of your head that like it's all there to appease sponsors and bring in some money. Uh, that's probably the simplest step that the average person could take to uh just sort of not get so high off of sniffing the media fumes when they get into the heat of it.
Yeah,
Does that make
I
sense? Is
just
that a good
feel.
metaphor?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Like I feel like I go on these like ups and downs of like how apathetic I feel towards politics. And right now in this current moment, I just feel very apathetic towards it. It's just kind of whatever. Like it is like such a shit show. I have no idea what to possibly expect from this next election, except that it's going to be terrible. And like, I mean, like real shit. Like China might like attack Taiwan, like in the middle of our election. You
Be
know, like
smart.
real shit. It's like it's like 50% from like shit that I've been listening to. Like they're
We didn't do anything
pretty
about
on it.
Russia.
Yeah, I mean, and then just like if we don't have like that would just be like a really crazy fight if we had to start fighting them over of China over Taiwan, you know? And then in the middle of an election, like it would just be like a complete shit show. Um,
Well, we kind of have to, right? Because then they'd control all the semiconductors.
right. I mean, that's why, yeah, and that's why we've been building all those joints in Texas like for the past, year, like, because we're trying to get that
But we're
shit back
still
because we
buying
know.
semiconductors from Taiwan.
Oh no, 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 I agree, I agree. I'm just saying like I'm saying like one of the evidence I think for them attacking soon is like we're already prepping for it. Like we're already kind of expecting it.
Yeah. Um. So I know we're already kind of in the politics thing. Which topic did you want to dive into first?
Fuck, I figure I got a hard out at 8:30 my time, so it's like an hour and a half from now. But I figured we go like
Okay.
let's do like 15 more minutes politics and then we could start getting into this Mr. Girl articles. You
Okay.
done?
Then I'll approach the main subject of the political conversation.
Yeah, hit
It
it.
it seems to me that after looking into this, that there are no foundational ideas that either party has that can consistently apply to their proposed ideologies.
Okay.
Um, so like Republicans, and I'm not going to speak in conservative and liberals because these aren't political parties. These are just sort of the ideas. So Republicans have like one of their big things is personal freedom, but then they also want to restrict what a lot of people are doing that they don't like. They want the government to get involved in the lives of other people and say, "Hey, no gender affirming care." They want to get involved and hang on, I actually have notes on this.
I see
One of
what
those
you're
rare
saying
times
though.
where I actually prepped.
It's like
Yeah, so
hypocritical.
and the thing about the gender affirming care that really gets me is that I think the biggest line for any Republican is, "You don't tell my kids what to do. You don't tell me how to raise my kids." That's like the biggest like line because that goes in with the traditional family values. But they're perfectly okay telling other people how they can raise their kids, which is kind of weird to me. So like we know that they're big for gun rights, individuals having the rights of freedom without government interference, free market capitalism, free trade, deregulations of corporations, which is kind of counter to free trade. You need to have regulated trade to stop that from happening as well. So it seems like the the ethical components are at odds with themselves. So does it really make sense for anybody to be a Republican at all? And I'd say no.
What should he be instead?
I think we need other options. I think that it just if an institution is at war with itself, it can't represent you. If it has diametrically opposing ideas, it cannot support you because you're either for free trade or you're for corporations being able to exist the way they are. You can't have both. You cannot make the government do both things at the same time. Free trade is trade free of government intervention.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then you can't do anything to a corporation. You have to let them be how they are.
Okay. All right. But the reality is they want like what do Republicans actually want?
I think that they genuinely think that they want both, to be honest, which is kind of silly. I think that what most people probably want that are Republicans is that they want corporations. I don't. It's really tough to say. I feel like there's a lot of flip flopping when it comes to positions on corporations. So I would say that you can't actually have free trade if you deregulate corporations because nobody else can compete. A small business owner can't survive. Like you will never be able to pull yourself up from your bootstraps if corporations allowed to continuously grow and absorb everything in its way or dismantle anything that obstructs it.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, okay, I would say that's true. Like the way to have the most like we don't really want free trade. We want fair trade. And the way for there
Hmm.
to be the most fair trade is for there to be a certain amount of restrictions on what people can and can't do market-wise. And like for,
Yeah,
and to participate in that market.
yeah. I realized part of what I said. I kind of got mixed up because I misread my notes. But I'm on the right path now. But also, they want free trade, but they hate free trade agreements between other countries.
They do?
Yeah, didn't Trump repeal like our biggest trade act? What's the
But
name
that
of
was
it?
because he was trying to renegotiate it though.
Uh, how'd that go?
I'm pretty sure Biden ended up renegotiating it. I think.
um, and the idea of wanting small government to protect personal freedom, but then turning around and saying we want the government to get involved in the lives of people's reproductive health and like their gender affirming care and stuff like that. It seems to be really highly opposed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, cuz like yeah, for me that's just kind of like an obvious one, right? It's like the libertarians, like there's no like real true libertarians cuz people enjoy the fruits of what you get in an actual society so much more, you know? Like
Yeah, so when I look at what would be the foundational principles to encompass all these things, I can't find one. It would have to be a couple and they would have to contradict themselves.
I feel like the problem's just with extremists, you know? Because I feel like the thing is that we're like describing like the extreme ends of a political ideology, you know? Uh
I don't think
but
so. I think that your average Republican really does want small government. They don't want big government involved in their life. I think that this is a pretty main idea. And then also, like it would be getting past like the since Roe v. Wade got kind of like well, it got removed, so now it's up to states. A lot of states are taking actions, and if somebody can sue somebody else for something that they're doing with their own body, and in terms of like uh, how they're going to respond to like a potential family happening here. This is a very personal thing that the government's getting involved in. And so I don't know if we could come up with like a foundational principle that would encompass these things, or even several that don't contradict each other. I'm open to the idea that there might be, but I think these are pretty mainstream things.
Okay. So,
And
what's
I
the
don't think it's
left's
just the
version?
right.
Yeah.
Um oh, Jesus Christ. So the Democrats, hang on, I have notes on this too. Well, let me ask you this. I did look at the right a lot harder, and then I got a little bit busy. Like I did a lot of that last night. I got a little bit busier today, but I did take some notes. But I'm curious to you, what do you think that the Democrats' main positions are?
See, Democrats' main positions. Uh, Climate.
Sure.
Yeah, pro climate. Um, pro abortion, pro choice, right?
Yep.
Let's see. Pro LGBTQ.
Yep.
Um, pro strong safety net, social safety net.
Yep.
Um, fuck, I don't know. Free health, pro free healthcare, universal healthcare. I don't know. They're more socialist in general, I guess. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that about does it. I think
You
the
think
main
you'd say
ones.
that they're more in favor of big government?
Definitely, 100%.
Okay. So I think that the biggest conflict when it comes to Democrats is their conflict between wanting big government and then wanting government to stay out of a lot of different things as
Okay,
well.
what? All right. What is it that
So
they
if
want to
you
stay
want,
out of?
well, the same things that Republicans want to use their imaginarily small government to do. When you have big government, they get to come into your life and tell you that you can't do certain things.
Oh, okay, I see.
When you have big government, they get to the government can make it a lot harder for labor unions to exist, which is something that Democrats seem to be very fond of as well. So it seems like the biggest issues that Democrats have is a government that has a lot of power using it. If a government with a lot of power uses it in the ways that it can be used, in ways that the right would use it, or that Republicans would want to use it when they have their turn, Democrats would find this to be among the worst things.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that is absolutely 100% true. That was one of my least favorite things about the left. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
and
it
then
fucking grinds my gears because, like, the Republicans, they do the same thing too. Like, we're both, it just seems like every 4 years or whoever switches parties, like, we just keep developing a bigger gun to shoot each other with next presidency. It fucking sucks.
speaking of
But the
guns to
Democrats are
shoot,
worse about it, I would think, personally. Democrats are
yeah,
worse.
how can you advocate for big government and also advocate to dismantle the police force? How does that make any fucking sense at all?
Yeah.
Which, and I'm not saying the majority of Democrats want to see police forces dismantled, but it is extremely popular to like not actually defund, but to reduce fundings, to make things for police more difficult. Doing things that amounts to the police not wanting to be police, to make it more difficult to be a cop and things like that. And just to be clear, none of these are like my personal ideas. These are things that I see as mainstream Democratic ideas, or ideas of Democrats. And even some that like Democrat elected leaders talk about. So like it seems like they're at odds with their desire for large government and the things that are required to prop that up and the implications of having it. It seems like neither side really understands that what they advocate for is also going to not necessarily take away what they want. So why are we sticking with parties that are by its own nature not going to be able to deliver all the things that we want? It just seems like insanity to me.
I guess, and you said even earlier, you said, why the party can't stand for anything if everything that it stands for is a hypocrisy, right? Like,
Yeah, it can't represent you.
I feel
And
that.
not only
Okay,
that, too,
so
there's like this
yeah.
invisible party of people that are pro LGBTQ, that are pro gun, that are pro deregulation of drugs. And that's another one with Democrats and Republicans. Republicans want small governments, but they like the drug war. Democrats want big government, but they want to end the drug war. It's fucking nutty. So like it seems like where we have these contradictions, there's a lot of people that um legitimately pro LGBTQ, they're pro gun ownership, uh they're not they're not pro or anti immigration, but they don't want a wall. They think that we should do something about it that isn't a wall. There's a lot of people that have like seem like they have sensible ideas, but I wouldn't call them centrists either because I don't know what the fuck that means. And you can't have a centrist party because that's just everybody who doesn't like either side goes there. And then what the fuck do you platform on?
So I guess the main thesis of this, right, is just that the two parties don't really serve the majority of people because the majority of people kind of hold an amalgamation of ideas from both sides.
There's a lot of people that do, yeah, but even if you hold most ideas off of one side, your party's still going to be working against you in other areas.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're only for one whole party, you are also gonna be fucked up by the hypocrisies of your one party. Like, that's not a productive system.
Yeah, and I think that in order to figure out how to do anything about it, we need to go, okay, what are my actual principles? What are the things that I genuinely care about? Um, does either party support all of these things? And if not, um, then maybe something different needs to happen because nobody should be able to run for president like Trump did and divide a party as strongly as he did. If the party really was representative like that, it wouldn't make sense that that would happen.
Welcome to the
And
chat, Rudy.
even now, Democrats don't like Joe Biden. This shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't be electing presidents if like half the party is like really upset with who they have as their leader. It seems so bonkers to me. And I think that's why we always have to settle when it comes to presidents, is because we just all have to go, well, it's not the other side. We can't get somebody that we like because when they talk about the ideas that they're trying to promote, there will be some that we like and some that we really don't like. We're not getting somebody to represent the things that we care about without having to give up a lot of stuff.
Before I let Rudy chime in here, uh, so I think this ties into a little bit about what I was saying within the Republican Party right now. I see there kind of being like a split between kind of like the populist people, like the real
Hmm.
populist movement, not the Donald Trump movement. The Donald Trump movement is a weird like QAnon conspiracy theory, like fueled by like far right shit. It's very strange. The whole, in my opinion, the Trump thing.
Yeah,
But like I
as
see
somebody
these
who likes
people like
conspiracies,
Vivek,
don't QAnon piss you off?
yeah, like a lot. But like I see people like Vivek, I see people like DeSantis, I see people like what's this guy? Uh Honestly, mostly those two. But they're like utilizing the new media like crazy that really does speak directly to the people more. And same thing with RFK too. Um
Oh yeah,
and
I'm not sure
I
how I feel
think
about him yet.
I know, right? But I think that within the next couple of election cycles, where we might get somebody who, because I would say Donald
Oh,
Trump is very much a stereotypical Republican, like he's like the Republican, flag carrier right now, and Biden too. Like RFK, like he's like playing sideball, with the other shit, and I see the other Republican people doing that too. And I think that
uh,
within the next 8 to 16 years, I think we will see somebody come out of this like podcast circuit, become president. that will be
Uh,
young, and it'll be a young person. It'll be somebody like in their late 30s or 40s. Um, and
Don't you
that'll
have
be
to be
really
45?
interesting. No, I
yeah.
don't think so. Is it 45?
Froggy Style,
I thought it was
you donated
35.
$3 on YouTube. Thank you so
I thought it
much,
was
buddy.
45.
And hi Natasha, it's really nice to see you. Sorry, I got a dono on YouTube. I'm not used to that. Sorry, Froggy. I'll try to keep a better eye on it. I was scrolled down too far. I'm not used to people giving me money on YouTube. It's
It's
a new thing.
35. It's not 45. It's
Oh,
35.
really? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're fine. The reason because Vivek is 38.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
All the respect.
So, really quick, if you don't mind me chiming in really quick, 'cause I don't want to like Elder Jaws.
Do it.
I have a couple questions on your like definitions of how you feel the Republican and Democratic Party go. As far as the Republican Party goes, they advocate for small government. They feel like they advocate for fair trade because fair trade is the reduction of tariffs and restrictions and subsidies and all that kind of stuff that makes it harder to import and export. So that would help them with capitalism to businesses, which is greatly helps them. Where on the flip side, Democrats advocate for large governments because they want social policies that can be delegated through our taxes, and they want tax hikes, and they want distributed wealth and stuff like that. So I don't understand how you think that the Republicans want a larger government, but don't
No,
want less
Republicans want small
restrictions on
government.
their ability.
Democrats want
is that
large
what-
government. Yeah. But also when it comes to free trade, you're talking about like oh my god. I'm drawing a blank. What's the word? You're not talking about like you're talking about holy fuck, I'm blanket. When it involves outside of us. Help me out here. I'm just stuck on the word. But like internally, the Republicans advocate for free trade as well. Yeah? They want less
Wait,
they
say-
want
say
less
that
taxes
again?
for businesses. Within our own country, Republicans want free trade as well. They want less taxes for business owners, small and large, right?
Well, but free trade doesn't really have much to do with that. Free trade has to do with like bringing in and out of goods in and out of the country. Like we
You
want to
don't
be
think
able
that
to
applies
things.
to like regulations of like internal business as well.
No, because the definition of free trade is the trade between borders, not internal. That's like domestic trade is different. Like we have domestic trade regulations, but that's normally about like, cargo transporting. I'm not really sure if that like if there's like really any kind of regulation between states beside like controlled substances like cigarettes, medicine, and alcohol.
Okay, I grouped them both together. I think they advocate for both.
I
They
was hearing
want
Elder Drazi say like free market capitalism and free trade. I was just thinking
Okay,
of
I
those
did say
two like
both.
paired together. Well, no, I think
have
you
them
said
both
free
written
trade.
down.
Yeah, like when I
Free
heard free
market
trade,
capitalism
I
and
was
then
just
free
thinking
trade
of
are on
both.
my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's mostly true. You know what I mean? Like they want less taxes for everybody. They want less regulations on corporations and shit. They want there to be less zoning regulations in cities for, putting businesses and shit like that. Less building codes, you know.
But would you consider that like a trade regulation? That would just be like a zone regulation. That'd just be like housing and stuff like that.
Well,
Like,
I would say
all
that's
those
like
regulations would come just
antithetical
from
to
like living.
free market capitalism, right?
Say that one more time.
I say that would be like antithetical, like having those kinds of regulations would be antithetical to like free market capitalism, yeah? Within the United States.
How?
How?
How so? I don't know.
All right, run by your regulations. Pass me one more time, just so I can be specific.
But I was just saying regulations in general, because you guys, well, just right off like housing and stuff like that, but that wouldn't have anything to do with trade. That'd be do with like regulations of like, building codes and whatnot. But how does that affect trade?
I can answer that really quick. It would be like, like there are only certain places where you can open up like an auto dealership in San Diego. So like they would want less regulation about where they could open up an auto dealership. And that would be more like free trade. Free market capitalism, I think. We could just be totally butchering these fucking terms.
I do
I
hate
mean,
zoning. I personally hate zoning laws. I feel like I should
I
be
could
able to
see
run
how-
a business on my property.
Does that count? I'm pretty ignorant on this shit. I mean, Rudy is the business owner. Like I don't really know how that shit works.
I mean, as far as like free market capitalism, I guess that would fall more under like your rights of your own land use. I would feel. I'd have to do more research on that.
Let me actually,
Sure.
here's a very pointed question.
But
Rudy, is there
okay.
like a law that could be changed? Like, is there a law or a regulation or something that you feel like could be changed or removed that would make you operating your current businesses easier?
Yeah. Okay. Then I am correct.
Um, I mean, yeah, like there's tons of tax laws that make things difficult for me. There's plenty of regulations that make things difficult for me. But as an employer, would it be nice to see those disappear? Sure, but they're also some are protections for the environment, some are protections for my employees, some are protections just for my own like well-being. And like, do I want the government to like force me into some of these protections? No, but are the protections there for like a pretty valid reason? Yeah. I mean, like some of them I don't like, and those slowly change, and I vote on what I want to see change. But I mean, like for the most part, like I mean, I run gas stations and like look into like and invest in like marijuana dispensaries. Like I'm not like necessarily like too impacted on the one side, but on the gas side, like some of those regulations stop like communities from crumbling from like polluting water sources and all sorts of stuff. And then the flip side to it is like, do you want your employer to have the ability to just fuck you over because they don't like a regulation that like happens to like protect you?
So it just means the law of supply and demand rather than central government regulates the production of labor in the marketplace. So like things like minimum wage is generally opposed by Republicans. Things like environmental regulations that stop people from producing things that cause like too much pollution, things like that. These would be the kinds of things that you would expect a Republican to be against, broadly
Okay, yeah,
speaking.
well, Republicans are like mildly against those things. You're correct, but their response to that always is, we don't want the government to dictate what our minimum wage is. We want the market to dictate it, and it did
Right. I'm not.
during
I'm not.
COVID.
I'm not confused about that. I'm just saying that I think that the party in and of itself is at odds with itself
How? I'm that's what I'm
inherently.
trying to figure out. Like I'm brought up
Literally,
like the fact that
because it
they.
was. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
It was the thing where you were saying like how you're like, oh well, there were these like regulations that I wish could be gone because they would make doing certain things easier. But at the same time, like if we got rid of all the regulations, like then you could just like be a huge piece of shit, to your employees, and that would just be like not a good society to live in. We'd probably rather have those protections. So I think Elder was just saying like you can't have both, right? Because if you wanted to be totally free market, you wouldn't have any of those protections. But obviously,
Also,
we
if
enjoy,
you want a totally free
Republicans
market,
enjoy those
deregulated
protections
corporation,
too. Yeah.
they would run your small business over too. Um,
Like I think we all agree here. I think.
Also, like if you want like job security, then you're probably going to need some kind of protect. If I feel like it's kind of hard to like if you can't have regulations, then you really can't stop somebody who's not a citizen from taking your job either. Yeah, you would need policy to regulate hiring practices to
Oh
make sure that you're only hiring people that are here legally that can compete, which means you would also have to have a minimum wage intact. There's just things that like there's like a give and take on a lot of these things, and it doesn't really make sense to me to advocate for some of these things that are just going to hurt other areas of your purported interests. When it
But a
seems like we
lot,
could,
some losses from a business owner is a gain for the like as you
sure,
just rifled off all the reasons why. Yeah, sure. Like if I didn't have regulations, could I like just go get like low immigrant like low wage immigrant labor from like the border if I wanted to? Like yeah, like but there's laws that make it so that I have to make sure that like my people are documented American employees so that it doesn't like end up undercutting you and screwing you over. And
yeah,
we did
these are the
imply a
things you
minimum
have to
wage to make sure
do.
that you.
But what I'm saying is, why not like promote the idea of having a party that you don't have to compromise with, that's going to align with your goals without contradicting them, that actually have like a more focused intent on like these are the things that are really important to a lot of people, because I think that there's probably a lot of people that are Republican that could do away with certain things to get more of what they want, and same thing on the Democrat side too.
Yeah, but the whole reason why there's a two-party system is because like there are people that are going to stand on like the polar opposite of things, shouting about why this or that is important, and then in the middle we're going to like be pulled from one side to the other, and then we're going to like come up with like a set of laws and regulations that are we're all abide and live by. This like going to be like a social democracy style thing where like some sides are going to get what they want and the other side's going to get what they want, and then we're going to live in like this cohesive society where we all like live in like this like give and take. That's why we have like
Yep.
social security, and then we like have like capitalism.
Why couldn't we just do the same thing with 6 parties?
But you could,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm advocating for. I think
no
we
one said
need-
you couldn't do it. No one said you couldn't have
Well,
6 parties.
Well, I guess
Make
when you
another
said-
party.
I guess
Here's a
when
question,
you
I
said
guess.
the reason why we have a 2-party system is because of this, is that you are advocating for the 2-party system.
I
That's
don't
how I
think
See,
understood
the
that.
thing is like you're not necessarily advocating for any amount of parties. You went from saying like why can't it just be one party that's not advocating for things against you and for you, and then it could be 6 parties. It could be 1,000,000 parties. It could be one party.
Sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, my main
All I'm
thing
saying
that
is that,
getting
like,
at here
it-
is that I think that the 2-party system is broken.
Here, I have a weird idea. Maybe the reason why Americans have a 2-party system and the Germans have a 6-party system is because
6 or 7,
Americans
I'm not sure.
6 or 7, fuck it, 8 parties. Maybe it's just because like Americans can't handle more than 2 parties. Like our small
No,
like attention span, like we can only handle like the 30-second like snippets, from each party. And like the reality is like you see something on TV or you're gonna pick a side, and you get basically like 4 30-second long, not even 30 seconds, 4 like 15-second long snippets of like the ideas you're supposed to believe to be in this party. And it's on both sides. And then the reality is that like some of us kind of give and take some of those ideas. But like
I think-
people
I
don't
I still
think
gotta
it's
vote
more
for
like-
one side.
I think it's more that like politics and reflects more like what the country's mentality is, and our country is more of a pageantry system than anything else. So I don't think that it's more that we don't have a 2-party, a more than 2-party system. I think that we look at our 2 parties incorrectly. I think you guys are more closer at the beginning of your conversation where you said like it seems like the parties are fractured. Hell yeah, the parties are fractured. Why do you think there's like 12 candidates in primaries? It's because like we're all putting our best like our high school quarterbacks and our like all that stuff in there going saying ours is the best, put them in for like the national team. And like we go through the whole thing until one guy realizes he's not enough votes and he endorses somebody else, and it's all like this big game until the Super Bowl, which is like 2 people that going head to head. We just do a process of elimination, and we just pick a side, and then we fracture off into our own little candidacies from there, and then we just like all rally together like we do at the Super Bowl. Go like, oh well, I'm a Giants fan tonight, like it's just how it is.
Yeah, well, I don't ever accept the phrasing that that's just how things are. I'm gonna say like, well, what about how it could be?
Well, that's an equally
What?
stupid phrasing though. That's like
Well,
just, so,
sometimes
like
it's okay to
the
just be
s-
like
it's the
this is how
start
it
of a
is.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's just how it is a conversation ender. What I'm suggesting is a conversation opener. What about what it could be? Let's discuss about like what the alternatives might be. What if you
what it
had a
could
party?
be is we could fracture into a bunch of different parties, and then we could have like a European look on things, or like a British look on things, where you have the parliament filled with like a bunch of different candidates. Everyone gets about like 13% of the vote, and they end up being like the winner of their political party, and they don't really have like a full like idea of like where the country is actually sitting, or at least with our presidential elections, like not only do we all get a huge voting pool to get through our primaries, if you're paying attention, Americans don't pay attention, we don't fucking vote, but if we did, then we would get to see all of our things. We'd get to get behind the candidates we actually care about, and then the 2 that go head to head would be a good idea to see where our parties actually divided. Because once they get forced into their positions, we actually get a good idea of where the divide is. Like right now, we're pretty 50-50 and everything. So there's a civil war, but back when we were like 70-30, we were all okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to, now that I'm really kind of letting the juices flow on this, I'm starting to think that, let's do Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, that election, okay? Just so we can kind of visualize it better. Like, there really was, like, in the Democrats, there were, like, 2 parties. There were the traditional diehard Democrats, and there were the socialist Democrats. And, like, the socialist Democrats lost, and the traditional Democrats won, and then we lost at the Super Bowl, right? And then within the Republican Party, we had, like, traditional Republicans, we had libertarians, we had Donald Trump. populism, and populism ended up pulling through. So then we had populist Republican Party for like 4 years, and drastically changed the party as a whole. But like even today, like we're back here in 2023, doing the 2024 election. Like we're looking at the individual people that are up for grabs again, and we're seeing that they're all pretty distinct, different flavors.
Is it just these 6 this time, or are there like 6 more that are on the bench for like another debate?
It's eight tonight, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There's 12 currently that are running. 13 actually, if you count Donald Trump.
But doesn't he have to turn himself in tomorrow?
Yeah, I know. That's why. That's why I'm really not debating tonight. Like all that shit. But
So, I guess if we walk this down further, I think that one of the things that a lot of things that people don't like about our current political establishment gets a lot better if we have more parties. Like, I think that for people that don't trust, well, I don't think you have to not trust shit. If you have more political parties, gerrymandering gets a lot weirder and harder to do. I think that it gets a lot harder to let me put it this way. You think it's kind of fucking crazy that we're so like almost perfectly split 50-50 in every major election? Like it's so close and so marginal. Do you know how many people are making major concessions to devote themselves to a side that doesn't support the stuff they believe in order to do that? That's not my vision of America. My vision of America doesn't include me having to like to set aside all my beliefs to make sure that the person I don't want to win doesn't win. I feel like
Bro,
that's what the majority
I'd be
of our voting
right there.
is.
I'd be right there with you if a majority of our voting, as you say, wasn't 1% or 1/3 of our population. Most people like complain about it and abstain their vote and then go protest in the streets. If they don't stop at the voting booth to actually like voice their opinion correctly, it's like their vote doesn't matter. So I'd
think
really
people would be
love
more
to see
invested if they
the
had a
country
party that
actually
represented
vote. And
them. A lot of people
there's
don't
more.
vote 'cause
Okay,
they don't think it matters,
first off,
too.
hold on. First off, voting is not just a one question thing. Okay, I don't know if anyone's ever wandered into a voting booth here, but like there is like 2 pages
vote,
of voting in my state,
even locally.
and there's so who gives a shit about like the president? There's so many other things that actually affect you. As someone who runs a business, I don't care what the president
These
does.
political
He affects
parties
the
aren't
what.
just for presidents.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about like these 12 people that are like trying to get onto like into this one office that affects the top 1%, the top bottom percent, or the bottom 1% of like the country. Everything else is like screwed on. You get screwed over by your senators and your governors. That you have a ton of sway over. They have way more opinions that are going to be more representative of you, and that's what you should be voting for. I don't give a shit about who sits in that stupid chair in that goddamn office that makes us look stupid on Twitter.
You and I
He
don't
doesn't do
disagree,
shit for me.
Rudy. I've always said if you want to get a third party going, you have to start at the local level. You have to work your way up, get yourself a fucking governor, and then we can talk.
But at your local level, your local governors, even if it's just the Republican and Democrat Party, represent you far closer than any like national leaders. So at a local level, the Republican and Democrat Party actually represent us far closer than like how divisive like national elections are.
I don't disagree, but my whole point of this conversation is that I don't think that the Republican and Democratic parties are internally consistent with their values. I think that if if you're a member of one of them, the party itself is going to be against some of the things that you want it to stand for, that it says it stands for. I don't think that they can do the things that they want to do. Like I don't think they could ever meet all of their goals, even without opposition, because some of their goals are opposed internally. I'm just advocating for parties being, at the very least, consistent, so that if they're giving you some of the stuff if they give you some of the stuff that you want, it won't come at the cost of other things that they are supposed to be also doing for you.
let's go about 5 more minutes on this.
So my last real
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
My last real question is based off of like the multi-party things. You don't think that even if we did break into multi-parties and we did have like a good chance to say that like we had like 4 people running for president, that toward the end of it, some of them maybe two of them or one of them wouldn't start realizing that they have no chance of winning and try and push their electorate toward another candidate like we already do?
Well, this is a hypothetical. If you have four
Yeah, the
people
whole
that can
thing's a
make it to
hypothetical.
the,
You said what if?
well, I was still going. So I'm saying, like, with the understanding this is a hypothetical where they have made it to like the final four, so to speak. Then I think that there's enough conversation and enough movement to where it may not be so hopeless.
I think that if you have four people running, you can absolutely tell. No, there's no way you're going in 25, 25, 25. There's no way. Not a chance. You're going to know who's ahead.
Sure.
First off, these parties aren't going to be balanced. So it's not like there's going to be an equal amount of people representing each party.
If you have four parties, if it's like 8, 10, and then the other two have the majority of the vote, it's going to make the other two people that have the real shot at winning have to concede to some of the ideas of the other parties as well in order to get those voters over to them.
So they're going to
means
have to
that
go
they can't
against their
just stick to the
values like we
same.
do already? That'd be terrible.
It means that more people are going to get represented.
Andre Bradshaw. You can't have more than 2 viable candidates for a presidential race in the US. If you believe you can, you don't understand our system or basic math. I want to build on that just really quick.
This wasn't about presidential elections, though.
No, sure, fuck it. It always ends up just boiling down to that, though. I mean, right, that's kind of like... Something that I was thinking about while you guys were talking was, like, the point that we're gonna make about how in your local elections, like, the people that you're voting for are significantly less, like, extreme. And that is so true. I think that there's something about how when we start getting to the tippy top of this pyramid, like, the extremism gets concentrated, like, to the very top.
Sure.
In my vision. I just think that's kind of interesting.
Headlines.
Well, yeah, you get attention for it.
Yeah.
Was it Trump got like billions of dollars in free media coverage in the last election?
Yeah, but I'm really starting to I'm starting to vibe with my theory that multiple parties within each party are slowly going to form and become more visible and much more like defined, I think, within the party. And I think that that'll be our multi-party system.
Americans should definitely take primaries far more seriously.
Fuck yeah. Definitely.
Special elections and primaries are probably the most overlooked elections in America, and they're probably some of the most important elections that we tend to care about for no reason.
Everyone should vote.
Probably for lack of education on the subject. Yes, amen, brother.
When you talked about local
absolutely.
I was in and out in under 20 minutes voting for my local elections. That's scary.
Should be lines out the goddamn
I live in a super
door.
small town, so like there was only 3 people in there.
They should just let people vote, I think, online for the most part. We do everything online. I don't know. I can't.
If you can bank online, you can vote online.
Anybody can mail in vote now, right? Ever since that with or is that can we not do that in 2024? We can still mail in.
Statewide depends on the state, I think. Like California is totally like we're gonna do mail-in ballots probably for the rest of our existence.
Like when we still have voting machines reading the voting ballots, like I feel like that's far more susceptible to being tampered with than if you had people vote online. If you can do international banking, I think votes are just fine.
I don't know. We struggle with some government websites. I mean, Obamacare website crashed pretty quick. I'm a little nervous about. They need to get some of their websites up and running. Better IT department, and then I'll do it. Maybe if Facebook runs the voting system, I'm on board.
Yeah,
do it in the metaverse.
I had a lot of complaints about the $100 million website that was just really there to take in text. Like it was not complicated. That was like a like a $20,000 website minus infrastructure for it, and it failed. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I won't argue with you there.
Andre Bradshaw.
They just need to partner with a better tech company, you know.
Andre Bradshaw. Banking isn't at all the same. There is a single point of failure with online voting. Banking isn't secure. It just doesn't matter when one person gets hacked. That's also kind of true. I do get that.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Andre. I think that's kind of why I'm more for the mail-in voting rather than the online voting. But fucking mail-in voting could be scam too, right? I mean,
I think the mail-in voting the mail-in voting point kind of goes toward the banking point. It's only going to affect like a small amount. You'd have to like on such a large scale operation to like take down a bunch of people or to fuck up a bunch of people's votes. It'd be more of like a singular attack, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, couldn't you blockchain? Couldn't you do like a blockchain thing for fucking voting though? Like,
Wouldn't that be
couldn't
cool?
you like
Yeah.
couldn't you like distribute that against that?
Yeah, vote coin.
I thought that was like unhackable or
Vote
some
coin.
shit. I don't know much about blockchain. I'm not gonna lie.
They give
Yeah.
you your coin back every election.
Yeah. They're just like here's your NFT of your voting. Save that. It'll be worth something one day.
Just make it out of Ethereum. We're all set.
Do you think they'll just make the United States voting token like a hanging Chad as like a joke that no one will get in like 20 years? Actually, they don't get it
HC
now.
Coin. Chad coin.
HC.
That's how we're gonna get mass adoption, just by calling it the Chad coin.
There is Chad coin already. There's a meme coin called Chad coin.
Damn it.
There's Giga Chad too.
Damn,
We tried.
we'll be
American Chad?
Sig-
I don't
American
know
Dad, but
crypto.
American Chad coin.
American Chad.
All right, guys. I'll leave you guys to the rest of your stream. It was fun. Thank you for having me.
You're gonna leave at the most awful part while we just discuss the most like horrible shit to mankind.
You know, had I actually paid attention to whatever he was releasing, I'd stick around, but I have no idea what's going on, so I'd just be here asking questions.
Before you go, I had a funny conversation. Well, like I had messaged Mr. Girl and I was just like congratulations, like your article has like 5 million impressions. Like I had done some research on it,
Oh
you know.
wow.
But he was
Damn.
like, it only has 18,000 reads.
Oh no.
No, but I mean, just like, could you blame anybody? That's like the craziest click of all time. Like, who?
How long is this one?
Very short. Both of them are very short.
It's the craziest click.
Dude, that click-through ratio is insane. Like, 18,000 to 5 million impressions. Like, that's everybody saw the article and did not click that bitch. Like, that's so funny to me. Also,
That's
it's-
nuts.
It's a pretty good metaphor for how people actually feel about tackling the issue. Everybody fucking knows about it. Everybody knows that what we're doing isn't enough. It isn't good. And nobody wants to do fucking anything about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to look about it. They don't want to hear about it. If you talk about it, if you have any opinion about it at all, just that you're talking about it, you're a pedophile.
yeah, I mean, there's only like 5 people on
And
the
we all
internet
should
that are
hate you.
willing to talk about this topic. And I'm with one
Yeah,
of
it's
them.
crazy. The idea that you would suggest anything other than murder makes you worthy of murder.
Okay, just because I'm here and now you got me fucking curious. What was this about? Like, was it just about like how you deal with like maps?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Rudy,
so,
you
like,
could sit down-
Pragmatic examination and approach about like basically just starting the conversation. How should we approach this? What should we actually do?
And you could read both articles while on the toilet. Like, they're very short. They're very readable.
I don't,
So
I
it's
don't know
just
if I want
crazy
my
to me
butthole
that-
exposed where I'm reading this.
Yeah, that might be fair. But I just thought it was
Cat Dog
really
Bark
weird
said-
that so many people were engaging with it the way they were. Go ahead, Drowsy.
Cat Dog Bark
So
said it's
people-
also just difficult to read and think about due to the emotional taxing. I think the really taxing part about it is that people will not allow themselves. Like, if somebody starts to engage with the thoughts in the article to where it's humanizing maps, they're going to like self-correct. They're going to have to fight. Like, most people just never have engaged with this topic with the understanding of like we might actually have to use empathy to approach this, and I think that they're gonna be like at war with themselves because they don't want to let themselves be somebody who can empathize with a map. So to really approach a solution that requires empathy, you have to begin to empathize, and I think that's the taxing part. People don't want to feel that. People don't want to feel that empathy.
See, for me, I'm even coming from it like a completely different angle. I, but still relating, obviously. Like, I think that we're not prepared for like the access that people are about to have to this kind of stuff, and how easy it's gonna be. And then for me, it's even like the accidental aspect of this. Like, me and my I was thinking back long time ago when I was a teenager. We went over to my buddy's house, and like we were
Oh, wait,
on
I don't have my
his.
camera on for you, do I?
No, you haven't this whole time. So we were on the
Say
Google, and we were like clicking the Google, and like you know how it shows like your Google history when you click the thing, and like we're obviously teenagers, but like he had looked up like 14-year-old porn in Google, like when we had like clicked
Who
the
did?
search thing, because he's like 14. When you're a 14-year-old and you're
Oh,
trying to look at porn, like you don't know, you know
okay.
what I mean? Like, or I mean, I think you
I missed the
should,
part that this
but
person was 14. I'm like, why are you casually telling this
no, no.
story?
When we were
Like,
no, when we were
did you
no,
just?
it's when we were like little kids. Like we're like at his house, and I'm just
Okay, I
like
missed
on
the
his computer,
beginning.
and I like we click his thing, and we were grilling him for it because we're like, bro, like that's like incredibly illegal. Like obviously you're
Yeah.
not gonna like find like what are you stupid? And he was stupid.
And
He
he's
was
like,
one of
but
our
I'm
stupider friends,
14.
dude.
It's like, you're
Okay,
not
this is
supposed to be looking at porn, motherfucker.
He's not
Dude,
stupid.
this-
He's as smart as you expect a 14-year-old trying to find porn to be.
okay, exactly. So this is like
It's remarkable
we're
he didn't just type boobs.
so like imagine like 10 20 years from now, right? AI is going to be 10 20 years more like crazy than it is right now. It's going to be extremely more accessible. It's going to be on your computer living offline. It's not going to be in, it's not going to be hosted anywhere. That's a waste of power. You just host it yourself, um and like what is going to happen when little Timmy gets curious one day and types in something incredibly illicit into his image generator that has been trained for 15 years, you know?
His IP address will be tracked, and I'll throw that little motherfucker under the bus. Sorry.
Like,
Sorry.
well, like, yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, like, I think that. So that's the conversation that I've been trying to have with people is like, so that is a reality that could potentially exist, because the facts are that we will have the AI, we will have stupid people, we will just have the 1%, right, that Max talks about that just exist. They're gonna have access to this technology. Like encryption and messaging is only gonna get more crazy over time. Uh, what do we do about this? Is the conversation I want to have with people. And and I was just really frustrated that basically like, Max put out this article. There was a decent quick read about what his opinions were about like how to deal with this topic. And like basically Shu tweeted, we should beat them in the head with hammers. And then that got 2.5 million views. Like that's kind of a bummer,
Yeah.
because this is coming down the pipeline. Like this is going to have to be discussed. Like it's already here. Like we need to talk about this now.
People in this space need to act like they've never heard this before, or that nobody else ever thinks this. Do you know who else has talked about this? Louis C.K. He says he says it in the best avenue possible, where he's also telling jokes, but he has a bit where he said maybe some of these kids wouldn't come back dead if we didn't make every pedophile feel like we're going to kill them as soon as we find out that they're a pedophile. Because as soon as the kid goes missing, the guy's like, well, I have to kill you now because there's no way that society is going to let me live if I return you. If you extend that idea out a bit, then maybe people don't have to be so isolated and feel like they're losing their goddamn minds if they don't feel like uh, their town's going to circle their house with pitchforks and torches and fucking murder them.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I do want you to feel that way if you decide to go through with the act. Like, no, I do
That's
want
why I
you to
said
be
extend
scared,
the
'cause
idea
people are-
out.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
But I
like,
thought I thought the whole idea. I'm sorry. Well, I have to cut
No,
in
go
real
ahead.
quick before we
I
change
still don't want to
subjects.
kill them.
I thought
but-
the whole idea between like a pedophile and like someone who sexually abuses a child was that pedophiles were minorly attracted people who didn't want to harm children. They just were in love with a person that was underage, but then like
They
people
may or
who
may
like
not want
actually
to.
went out and like did harm to children were considered like child abusers, and that like that was like supposed to be like some stupid statistic that people were like going behind. Is that not still a
No,
talking point?
that is. I was just trying to relate like the Louis C.K. thing to like the broader idea that if we treat these people better, we'll see better outcomes. So I think I just kind of like minced my language a bit by trying to like take it from this end and move it over to the broader subject. Um but yeah, and Will said I do want that if they actually harm a kid. I don't believe in retributive justice. I believe in I this is what I want. When something bad in society happens, I want to go, how can we make this better? How can we make the world better for everyone so that bad things happen less? Every time something bad that we as a society don't want to happen, it is a lesson for us to learn how to prevent this from happening. And I
I
don't think that making other people feel better by torturing somebody who does something that we don't like is going to solve that problem. And as somebody who has a fucking kid, it drives me insane when people's solutions consistently don't work and that's all they want to do. Um, it's really, really frustrating to see research backed ideas on how we can make this better get tossed aside because people don't like how it makes them feel. I don't give a fuck how you feel. Make the world safer for my kid.
I
Be
agree.
uncomfortable.
I get that, but I think that sometimes, okay, like let's do that. You know, sit back and let's think about what's really the best way to do this. I still think sometimes the best answer is, well, we need to have a punishment that's in place that is so vile that you will, even if you do have a specific urge, you will not want to do this because hopefully your want of survival will trump this other want. You know,
My
Well,
understanding
but
is
I
that
mean, like that's all fine and good, but like statistically, we know that people commit crimes, even if they do know that there's a consequence. They either think they don't won't get caught, or they don't think that they'll get the max sentence for whatever they're doing. But I think
I
that's
agree.
beside the point. Isn't the whole idea here is the fact that like, let's say that I'm not even somebody who has abused a child. Let's say that I'm just someone who admits that I have an attraction to children, and I tell you that I'm going to therapy. Do we still treat that person as bad as like a pariah, even though that they're going to get help? Or are we saying that like only people that are like out there like kind of trying to like normalize it, like some of these people that are out on like line that are basically trying to say how it's like okay to be like a map, but just like you're like trying to get like help or whatever, and that's what's really pissing people off.
so I would say even a step before that, it prevents them from getting help. I've told this story a couple of times, but I think Jesus, I'm fucking old now. Probably like 8 7 8 years ago, I lived in the thumb of Michigan, which is exceptionally conservative. Like 1 square mile town, 11 churches conservative. Okay, and I was on Facebook, and it was the first time I've ever seen the put them in a wood chipper kind of meme, and I was looking through the comments, and one of my friends shared it. And more I read the comments, I was like, wait a minute. I responded, we're talking about people that have actually hurt kids, right? Not just people that have thoughts. And the overwhelming response was, no, kill them all. And I'm like, what? Like, what if I think about killing somebody? Like, if like you just think about like doing something, it's just as bad as actually having done it. This is crazy. I felt like I was a crazy person. I had it was unfathomable to me that this many people really like believed in thought crime and like capital punishment for thought crime. This is like this is like 1984 levels of like extreme like response, and like I couldn't wrap my head around it. I think Mr. Girl's the first person I've ever seen like publicly say, "Hey, y'all are batshit fucking crazy for doing this."
I agree with this, but like what I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves saying that like laws don't like prevent shit from happening. You know, like
Well, it's they're not doing enough in this case.
they're not doing enough. I was okay. I was gonna say like the I it's a pretty like grandma Tucker Carlson talking point, but like you know, ever in California since they got rid of the stealing shit, crime is like a bajillion% like way up. You know, like once they got rid of that limit, that's like a real thing. Um, so like for me, like that's just like a really easy like oh they got rid of a law that was like locking people up, and now more people are stealing on a regular basis. because they feel, you know, semi-empowered to be able to do that.
I don't think that
No.
anybody who comes out as having, it's a really good example. I dated somebody whose stepdad had OCD bad thoughts, which, considering the context of this conversation, it may not be what you think. OCD bad thoughts in his case was he had constant invasive thoughts about murdering everybody. And he is probably still to this day one of the most genuinely kind people I've ever met. Also, fucking ripped like Fabio. So it's terrifying to know that he thought that. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit uneasy. Uh, and you do take certain precautions with him. Like, for instance, you don't bring weapons into the house at night. All the knives, like that you use for dinner and everything, get put away. But that's because he's terrified that something is going to happen. He's never hurt anybody. He doesn't have any violent criminal record, but he's terrified because if he constantly has thoughts about it that he can't make it stop. So he takes the proper precautions and makes sure that people around him know this, so that way they don't do anything that might make it worse or more difficult for him to not respond to the thoughts that he's constantly having. So he basically has built a network of people around him to make sure that he wins and that the invasive thoughts don't win. I think it would be great if somebody who had the same kind of situation involving minors had the same kind of network of people who cared enough to make sure that they were supporting this person so that they can have, by all accounts, a normal life.
Okay,
And
but
this
in a
also
small
keeps everybody else safe.
in a small ecosystem, don't most people have that ability? It's only when you take it public and you try to like make
No,
excuses.
they don't. Most people don't feel comfortable saying shit to anybody, I'm sure. Uh, that would be terrifying because you don't know what person might. So here's the thing: if you tell like your brother, what if your brother flips the fuck out and puts you on blast? Now it's public.
And that's fair. I'll give you two person, and then like I'm gonna split out just because I do have other things to do. And I didn't expect to be on the stream, but I've had two people that have one worked for me and one didn't. Both did sexually abusive things toward children. One was had sexually explicit images, and the other one did things with the stepsister. Now, one of them went to prison, did his time, and when he came out, he stayed in rehab. He did what he was supposed to do. He admitted to me what he did during his interview, and I still has a he doesn't work for me anymore, but he still has a good job, and he still tells anyone who asks what he did and all the stuff that he does is probably does what he's supposed to do, and he's supposed to be, and he's still living a model life. The other guy, the second he walked into my office and he told me what he did, which he still told me what he did because he did go to prison and it was going to come up on his background check. He started making excuses. He started making reasons why this happened and blah 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 blah. That guy's a scumbag. He deserves everything he gets. I hope he like fucking never gets a job and he ends up in a ditch somewhere because he doesn't see the wrong he did. He just sees that like he got caught. Now he needs to tell people all the excuses of X, Y, and Z. It's like no, you fucked up, and you still see that like it's just like oh someone tattled on me or some shit. It's all. I don't think that there's necessarily like a whole thing where if you fuck up that badly, listen, if you make it out of prison, that's the hardest part. When you get back into the real world, we're not out here bashing these people's brains out constantly. Yes, it happens. That's like the few exceptions. It's
Well,
just like
see,
saying that like
I don't know if the reason why he did it is to avoid accountability. It could just be that he's fucking terrified of reaction and he's trying to get ahead of it too. That is a possibility. Just because this one guy has the confidence to own it that way doesn't mean that the other guy doesn't think that like you're not going to knock his fucking teeth out as soon as he says it.
why
You
would I?
know?
But okay, the difference is the thing is that their situations are almost exactly the same in the sense that they both told me what it is. Just how you tell people is wrong. And when you take
Sure, I'm not
accountability
saying
and you
what he
can
did
prove that
was
you're taking the
right.
steps, that's one thing. He didn't. Okay, but you're sitting here saying, well, maybe he was too afraid. No, he made excuses as to why he did it. He wasn't afraid of shit. He was a jackass, and he obviously was probably going to offend again, and probably is going to offend again.
All I'm saying is that I am offering alternatives to the intentionality of it because I
Yeah,
think
so
that
is the
fear
state. He
is a
can go to get therapy. He's
okay.
probably
I
he's
understand
probably
that
in
you don't like.
probation.
I understand
And
that you don't like it, but all I'm saying is that I don't think it's necessarily the case that you know the intentionality of a person trying to express that. And I'm just saying that here is an alternative, plausible reason why they might do that.
All right.
That's it. You just try
Andre.
to get ahead of the reaction.
Andre, if we wanted, we could screen for this attraction as a mandatory action when someone turns 18. We could then feed them to the wood chipper. That is a 100% viable solution if that is your concern. Empathy will never be a 100% effective solution, so do you really care?
Screening 100% effective?
But I mean, if we just, if we, if we were just willing to kill a couple extra, fuck it, probably be pretty good.
Can we kill all the people with peanut allergies too?
But fuck, please, immediately, send them to. I'm just kidding.
Them and gluten allergy people,
saying,
they can all
I'm
go.
just saying, we might care more about each individual thing, but how many more people are broadly affected by people with peanut allergies? If we want to kill people because they're fucking with other people, through something that's no fault
Are the
of their
people with
own.
peanut allergies have the potential to harm other people just because?
Yeah.
They do? How?
How?
How do the people with peanut allergies have the ability to with their condition to hurt other people with that condition?
Well, why do I have to? Well, because I can't eat peanut butter if I have to be
Okay.
around them. If they're in my workplace, there's a whole section of my diet that's gone.
No,
Fuck
no,
this
no, no,
guy.
no, 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 no. That's not what I said. I said, how does the person with the peanut allergy, how does them having that peanut allergy harm other people with that affliction? How does that, like, if I don't have a peanut allergy
Just
and you do,
described it.
how does your peanut allergy harm me?
You can't eat peanuts if you have to be around me.
I can walk away from you.
No. Like if you eat like peanuts, a lot of people with peanut allergies, they can't be in the same room. If you have peanuts on your breath, you can fucking send them to the hospital.
All right, well, then you lost the Darwin Awards, but let's assume that you don't
Yeah.
have like airborne peanut allergies. Okay.
That's how
What?
severe. A
How
lot of
can
peanut
you
allergies
with
are,
your
though.
allergy? How can you with your allergy affect someone that has not me affect you? How can you affect me with your affliction, with
I
your
just
peanut allergy? And then I'll tell
just
you why you should
explained
die.
it.
No,
I
you
just
didn't. You said
explained
how
it.
I can affect you. I can walk away and eat my sandwich and then go wash my or brush my teeth. I'll be fine. I'm asking you how you, with your allergy, can make my day or harm me. You can inconvenience me. You can make me leave. You can make me brush my teeth. You can make me have to go through like this whole sanitizing thing. That doesn't harm me. That inconveniences me. How does your affliction end up harming me? And then I'll tell you why you should die for it.
Well, I just
I'm
think that
gonna
you're using inconvenience where I would use harm.
this peanut conversation is riveting, but I think
I was
we
just trying
might
to be
Well, but I
silly
can
with
might
it.
need
hold
to.
on, Will, really quick, Will. I can bring this back to why this goes back to the map. When you have a map that has like this affliction, eventually their like illness or affliction can eventually spill over into harming someone else that doesn't suffer from that at all. But a peanut allergy can't. So it's a terrible like analogy to bring up to be like, well, should people with peanut allergies die? Well, no,
was being
Darwin's gonna kill
silly.
them. I'm not gonna kill them. Okay, well now's not time for a silly comment if you can't back it up.
I didn't expect it to go this far. I just expected like a silly response back. But no, everybody has the potential to rape and kill anybody, really. The potential to do harm isn't what we care about. Everybody has that potential.
Okay, so
Like,
Andre
that's
Bradshaw.
not
Andre Brad. He's been really dank in the chat. He said you wanted a more efficient preventative method. Excuse me. You said you wanted a more efficient prevention method. I just don't believe that that is your real position. You just don't like punitive justice, which is fine, but make that argument. So I think that maybe that might be right in some regards. There theoretically could be like we could turn up the dial on the anti-pedometer like as high as we could possibly go, and we could figure out a way to like effectively eliminate 100% or as close to 100%, as
no, you
possible.
just make them hide better.
You think you would just make them hide better?
Yeah, so I have a kid, right? And I try to monitor all their phone stuff because people are fucking crazy on the internet, and especially teenagers. I have a teenager. So if my kid knows how I'm watching their phone, they're going to be more careful, right? I have seen it in real time. Anytime I take like certain steps and they get revealed, my kid gets better and better at it. It doesn't matter. If somebody knows that you're watching them, uh, and you're trying to figure them out, they're going to get better at hiding what they do. So you just look at any kind of crime. When police develop tactics to catch certain kinds of criminals, those kinds of criminals are going to develop new tactics to avoid getting caught. When you put a target on somebody's back, they're going to do everything they can to develop new ways of removing that target, of obscuring your view of them. You're
I
going to
guess
train them to get better at you not knowing.
I think that theoretically, if we just had if we just went max on the kill, we just said, if we find out you do anything for any reason, if you even think it, we kill you. And let's say we had the technology to, like, I could, like, imagine a world. I want us to, like, just imagine this world, okay, where we figured out how to do this. And we can basically just, like, snap our fingers and kill all the pedos. Alright? Say, theoretically, or we kill anybody with this
You
kind
put
of
a chip
attraction.
on anybody as soon as you have a pedophilic thought, you're dead. Sure.
Boom. So what that would be was that would be theoretically like one of the most like effective ways of getting rid of this problem. But I think what we're trying to really figure out is what's like the most empathetic way of getting rid of this problem. Which has a different answer. Because if the question is what's the most effective way, it's just murder all of them. Scan for predisposition, murder all of those people, and you know,
When
like
do they become
theoretically
murderable?
fuck it, 14. Fuck it. We scan them at 14 and if you know what I'm just like, you know what I mean? Dude, for real though. Hey, we're cutting them off at the root. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, but we can picture this
That
world, right?
14-year-old's like, I still think my 12-year-old girlfriend's hot. Oh God! Just dead.
Exactly. We minority report it, right? Like we figure it out. Okay, so but I think what we're really trying to figure out, and I
Just
think
kids
you know,
won't
the
date
purpose
till
of
they're 18.
Yeah, they will. They're just gonna die. They're gonna think they know how to trick it.
so the real question is, what is the most empathetic way that we deal with this situation? And then another question I'm thinking is, why do we choose the empathetic path instead of the most effective path? Um, and another thing that comes to my mind is, what are the benefits to taking the empathetic path versus the most effective path?
Wouldn't the route to the empathetic path just be like treating like anybody who's a map like a drug user? We don't condone your activities and we're not going to support you, but like if you go seek help, we're not necessarily going to turn on you. And then
Well,
as long as you want to get the help, you can go through the system to get what you want, and then like you're good. And then there's this debate basically ends. Then if you don't go get the help and you're out there like jumping up and down saying like, "Oh no, kids are mature enough and have the mental fortitude to make this choice," then you just get thrown off a cliff.
Actually, yes, that is it. But there's another thing that needs to happen is that we have to make people feel like they can go and get the help. Because right now
Go
the
get help from
ecosystem is not
psychiatrists.
there.
They can go
People
get
feel
help
like
from
they
therapy.
cannot. People feel like if they
Well,
tell their
then they're dumb.
psychiatrist,
Google it. WebMD
they're
will tell you you have
not
cancer.
dumb. You act like it hasn't happened where somebody has said these things to a psychiatrist and they fucking flipped out on them. This stuff does happen. It's not as simple as, hey, just go and do this thing and everything's going to be okay. No, there has to be a broader conversation about it. People have to hear these ideas and they have to engage with them. And enough to where the people that do have these thoughts and feelings can see the people they care about somewhat engaged in this idea, and then they can feel comfortable enough to say something. Because as it stands right now, you're taking a real risk of your life being over by saying something to anybody. And I think for most people, that's a risk they're not willing to take.
Before Rudy goes, Toby, we can't even really talk to a therapist about being suicidal without threat of forced hospitalization. So I think that there's some element to that, to what Elder was saying, and the thing that he was getting at too about like, you can't talk to anybody about it, like if you, let's say you do have some kind of a mental issue that's not this horrible one that we're talking about, like most of the time you figure out to go see a therapist by like shooting the shit with people around you, and then you're like, you know what, maybe I should get this checked out, you know, and then you go through
when
it.
Everybody stops laughing, like, what, you said that weird, like you weren't joking.
But you know,
I'm sorry, I was just kidding. I don't think that dog's hot.
Yeah,
It's a joke.
exactly.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I'll go call my therapist.
Yeah. So like there's not really like that like avenue I think for this thing. And I think that one of the main important things about the article was just advocating for the idea maybe we should have that, you know? Like if you hear this lingo, you know, maybe the first thing isn't we shouldn't think, "Hey, let's roll out the wood chipper." Is maybe it's like, "Hey, you know, this is X and you should really get help for X." You know, it's more common than people think, you know. And then that might be a more effective way to solve this issue. Rudy,
Yeah.
if you want.
I mean,
I just want to
I
say that.
definitely I know I definitely agree with like what you just said. I don't feel like that's not the case that we currently have now. Like you can have an open conversation about this stuff just because we think like yeah, if you say that you're gonna harm yourself in therapy or something like that, your doctor can like put you in a medical state if they think you're actually going to like go like you're actually gonna hurt yourself. But like most of my family's in therapy and they do have suicidal thoughts and they do tell their therapist that and guess what, none of them have spent time in a hospital. Like
Okay.
it's that's not the case. Now if you do threaten to harm somebody or you say that I feel like I'm going to go kill my brother or something like that, yeah, then your doctor has an obligation to report. But if you feel like you have an immoral, you're basically telling me that if you're someone who finds dogs attractive, you don't deep down know that that is an immoral or taboo thought and that that's something that you might want to get help with, but you might ignore that thought. You're telling me that they don't have that thought. Even drug users know that that what they're doing
Okay.
isn't right, but they
You
still
can't
do it.
come
I
up with
get
a
it, but like
comparison. There is no comparison. There is no person who is more hated on this planet than a map. No one. Murderers can go to prison and come out, and there's going to be more people who are going to be accepting of this person. You did your time. Uh, Welcome back to
you're talking
society.
about offending maps. I'm talking about people who
I
I thought we were
am
talking about
talking about non-offending too. So the only thing that people hate more than non-offending maps are offending maps. They are bottom of the
go to the
barrel. They
places
are
where
the
those people
most
can get
hated.
help. Why I'm not saying start a YouTube channel. I'm saying go to the people that can help you. There are support networks for these people. Just because you're too afraid to go into it doesn't make it
Okay,
not
so
available to you.
we do know that it is the case that most of these people do not feel like they have any avenues for this.
All right,
That
hold
There
doesn't
before
make
are
it
we
not available.
well,
okay,
I don't know why I feel like we're having some kind of a weird discrepancy here. Like
yeah,
to Rudy, I personally am of the opinion that I think that people that are of this, you know, that suffer from this issue, I think that the majority of these people do not feel like they can get help. Do you feel this way?
I do. I do think that that's true. That they feel like if they go and admit it to anyone, that either a they don't want to admit it to themselves out loud because that's hard for anyone to do, and b yeah I'm sure they think that it's so taboo that if you were to go get help that you might get subjugated or like cast aside. Yeah, sure.
oh,
Okay.
that's then getting the solution. Just go do it anyways. If you think that's going to happen, you can't.
I
Your
guess
no, your argument is basically that these things don't exist, but they do, and you're telling me that these people don't have
No,
the
no, no, no,
or
no.
like just are
My
too afraid to
argument
go
is
do
that
it. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist already.
I'm saying that sometimes it can work for people, but there is a chance that if they do talk to people, if they talk to the wrong person, and that it doesn't go well for them. So the solution would be to broaden this idea that it is good for them to get help. That it is that if somebody reaches out to you about it, that you don't reach for a weapon, you reach for a phone and get them in contact with somebody who can help them, because we
How
do
many?
know for a fact that maps that get help have a significantly reduced chance of offending than ones that don't.
okay.
It's
So I got
but Elder,
go
the
ahead.
problem is that it sounds like you're talking about offending maps versus that, and then you say you're talking about non-offending maps. Non-offending maps aren't getting murdered on the street. Offending maps are. But I'm not
Most of the
seeing
time, people
stories.
find out that somebody's a map because they offended. The majority of the time, they don't find out because they open up to them.
Right. That's what.
I don't get what
Just
you're
by the
saying.
numbers. Well, just by the numbers, right? If like
Yeah.
1% of the entire population is X, then that means that like, you know, there's that like, and we're not seeing like those kinds of numbers going to therapists, you know,
Yeah.
saying that they need help. then that by definition means that there's a whole swath of those people out there that aren't seeing them, and then we can debate why is it that they're not seeing people? Is it because they don't want to? Is it because they feel that there's stigma to go do it? I only have 15 more minutes here, but I want to try and steer this in a direction that maybe will be a little more fruitful for conversation. I think we all agree on the way that things currently are, and I think that we all kind of agree on like it to go. We would like there to be less, offenses overall, right? And then I think we all agree that maybe one of the best ways that we could decrease offenses would be to get these people to see help, right? And we can debate, and I think for the most part we agree that the help exists, but the main issue is that they don't want to go seek the help. I think we're all here on this living.
They're scared to seek help. I don't want to say they don't want to seek help. They could be sscared. It's fine. Like not wanting to makes it seem like that they're nefarious about it.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean it like that exactly, and I didn't mean for you to mean it like that. So I guess the next question that I have is, so what could we do? What do you think we can do as a society or over the next couple generations, to make it so that these people seek this 1% of the population of men seeks the help that they need?
So I think the thing that I guess let me put it this way. Most people that end up going to therapy in general don't it doesn't start off with a phone call. It starts off with talking to somebody that you're close to and airing those ideas out with another person um, before they realize, okay, therapy is going to be where I'm going to go. And I think that the reason why we've seen a lot more people in therapy in the last like decade is because we've destigmatized mental health to the point where people feel like it's okay to talk to their friends and family about it. Because for a long time, at least, uh, I mean, I assume it's the whole country, but like in the areas in which I've lived, when I was younger, it really was pretty unsavory to like let your mental health issues leak out and let other people see them. But it seems like we've gotten a better and better understanding of them to where now it's it's acceptable. Uh, so I think that just the idea that it's okay to say, "Hey, I've been really depressed. I've been having a really hard time." Like even just like getting myself to work. It's the reason why I don't talk to anybody. It's the reason why I don't reach out. I'm not angry at anybody. I'm not trying to blow everybody off. I just can't deal with the responsibility of having to communicate with people and let them know what's going on right now. Well, hey man, do you think about getting some help? These are the kinds of conversations that lead somebody to going to therapy. If people had no idea that like that's how depression can work at all, they'd be like, "Fuck you, dude. You're just an asshole. Don't give me that shit." You know, if you had no idea what that was or like how that was for them, yeah, I think that that conversation can be really hard for a lot of people. So, getting people to understand what they're going through, to at least enough to the extent to where they can say, "Hey, I think that maybe you should talk to somebody who can help you," because like I can listen, but I can't help. Is probably going to be the biggest thing that we can do uh, to get them that help. Making it known that people that are close to you uh, can have that conversation with you is going to be the thing I think that helps the most.
What do you think, Pretty?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still thinking on that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. I I for one think that Max's article about what we should do is actually a really good. It's good. I think that the framework that he provides, I think, is something that I think that anybody with half a brain should find acceptable. Um, and
You want to lay that out?
I can't say something. I can't say what I wanted to say on stream, but I'll tell you guys later.
Okay.
The like for I'm just gonna go through the 5 points really quick. Be kind. Like I think that this is just you can change the p word in this sentence just to any kind of disorder, and I think that that is the first step to really, getting anybody to seek the help themselves to get the help that they need, because we need to get people to get the help themselves, right? We all know that we can't like force people to get therapy. It's not even effective if you do, right? They have to want to get it. So I think being kind is the best first step. So reframing P word as a disorder rather than a moral failure.
Yeah.
Classic, because that is what it is. It's a disorder. It's in the DSM-5. Um, you know, uh, I it's very interesting that I don't know why people always make it a moral issue, because I feel like everybody agrees that it's morally horrible. Like, even the people that do it, for the most part, they just do it because they feel like they have to do it, because it's
People
their.
do the same thing with suicide.
Yeah, true. That's also
When
true.
somebody does it, what are they? What's the most common unempathetic thing that people say? Well, they were selfish.
Yeah.
They weren't thinking about anybody else when they made that choice. All they were doing is thinking about themselves. I had a cousin who took his life when I called my other cousin who was also really close to him. So he said to me, he goes, "Fuck him, dude. He was just being selfish." Like, what? I'm calling to check in on you. That's what you have to say about him? God damn. That's how people do it. They didn't see that he was so miserable that he took his life. They saw that he cared more about himself. I think that's just how people do it.
Yeah.
If they're not being selfish, then maybe maybe I had some responsibility. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I wasn't as good to them as I should have been. Maybe I now have to have some regrets if it's not their fault, right? I think
Yeah.
that's why. Go ahead, continue.
Andre, unironically, church would do a lot of good for most people. I'm an atheist, but most people need these communities, and we are increasingly dropping out of them. Could not agree more for the most part. I think that's probably pretty true. People just need to find shit to do with their lives that's like less online. I think that would just be better for everybody. Okay, so point number 3. This is the point that I think is the most contentious, in my opinion. Because I'm not really sure that I agree, and I think that there's some element to the literature that maybe says otherwise to what Max says here. So sexually satisfy P words. If the root of the problem is P word horniness, then society needs to put on its big boy gloves and get to work. A happy P word is a harmless P word, and as long as it doesn't involve real children, we should do everything we can to get their rocks off. I'm talking AI generated CP, sex workers with small boobs, and when technology allows, child sex. I as much as I like the other 4 points, I don't necessarily know if I agree with this. And the funny thing is, I don't even think Max actually agrees with this. Because I feel like I remember distinctly, like, a time when people would ask him this stuff, and he would say, like, no. Because if you knew that your neighbor had one of those things, had a child sex
He was
robot, it would,
unsure.
like, negatively affect how you feel about them. You know?
Yeah, I think he said he was unsure at first, and he kind of like teetered back and forth. I'm fine with that though. Let me put it this way: if you're telling me that any of these things, if 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 these things would stop, if these things would make my kids safer, do it. I don't give a shit. I don't care how bad it makes everybody else feel. If my kid is safer, that's my primary job as a father, is to keep my kids safe. I have my main, especially if you have a teenager, your real job is to let them practice freedom and keep them safe while they do it.
So, okay,
And
if I
if
was able
that
to
makes the
prove to
world
you.
safer for them to do that, cool.
Sure. I get that. But, like, let's say hypothetically, I'm somehow able to run like a really solid study over like 20 years or something, like looking into this. And it turns out that people looking at this kind of stuff increases their chance to offend. Would you then be like, okay, we need to like cut back on that? Like, I'm not going to promote that anymore
Well, yeah, of
as like
course.
an
My
option.
whole thing is that if it makes the world safer for my kid, I'm for it. It's really that simple for me.
Okay. So what I would have
My
changed
feelings don't
number
even
3,
matter.
sorry. Go ahead. So okay, what I would have changed number 3 to is like realize that P words are going to sexually satisfy themselves in greater numbers in the future. Like that's what I would have made like number 3. It's like to like because to me that's like you need to have like like it's not necessarily the empathy, but it's like the understanding that this is what's going to happen and like you need to deal with this reality. Like like I don't really feel like this I don't know. I don't know. Number 3 grinds my gears because I want to see data that like backs that it decreases. uh,
Well,
offenses, you know? And I don't know if we'll ever get that data. And
I mean, I feel like it's pretty intuitive. So like, I feel like
compassion.
I feel like if somebody is regularly getting off, the odds of them making an impulsive decision, if somebody's getting off in a like a constructive way, I feel like the odds of them becoming somebody who sexually assaults is probably less. I think sexual frustration probably is going to play some role in making sexual aggression worse. Yeah.
No, I can see the argument for that. I get
Hey,
it.
Will.
Yeah.
After this, I'm gonna give my final thought in about.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go through the last two really quick, and then honestly, Rudy, you say your thing. I'm gonna dip too. So I'm already getting my time. Number 4 is
Okay.
wake the fuck up. You likely already know a few pedophiles. I thought that was pretty funny. Number 5, sacrifice privacy on social media apps. So this is the thing that I keep probing people to say is like I want to accept that the only way that you can effectively get rid of this problem, if you really want to like lower the amount of CSAM that is about to be created during the AI revolution, you must accept 1984 world. You must have an AI that is on your computer that is constantly hooked up to some government body that is going to go through and look at everything that you do on your computer and every input that you feed into your own personal AI, and that AI will needs to report back to a central somewhere, and then we just need to hope that the AI is not gonna like mess up and tell people that are looking at things that they're not looking at things, or that the AI isn't gonna like generate shit and blackmail you for it and like throw you in jail and stuff like that. And
It's
that
not made
is
by the
the
NSA.
yeah, exactly. And this is the world that I'm trying to get people to understand. Like when you give the government control of your entire computer like with an AI, they're going to be able to do anything. They'll say that you generated anything. They'll be able to make it 100% look like you did do something. They'll make there be a paper trail all the way, I guess a digital trail all the way through your shit. And I just want people to accept that they have to live in that reality to completely deal with this problem. And I think that's what Max honestly says in number 5. Sacrifice privacy on social media apps. Because it's not just social media apps though. It has to be your entire computer.
I
Entire
think this
computer is
idea
going
is
to be able to do
technologically
this.
ignorant.
Yeah?
I think that
Why?
there's other kinds of things that we can do uh, to monitor and protect once we have like sufficient AI that doesn't involve sweeping everything that you have.
How?
How?
Yeah, help me be
Um,
like imagine it with me. Like I don't understand. Cuz I
okay,
try.
so it could just be that so wait, it now correct me if I'm wrong. Is he talking about actual CP or is he talking about generated that it's being scanned for?
Let's just for the sake of argument saying AI generated.
AI generated? Sure. So you can have something that can only so like any kind of software that would scan for this can literally just only scan for a signature that would be just like, let me put it this way, if you made an industry standard that you have a marker for anything that might be this on AI generated imagery, like a digital marker, if you made an AI generation software and you didn't include it, you're getting fuck. You're done. Like if everybody else does, be like, well, how come you don't want to label the AI generated CP? Uh, does this make sense? So there's you just basically put a marker on it, and any kind of software that sweeps for it is only looking for this specific marker. And if people get around it, you simply update the device to extend the marker to
But
the new ways they get around it.
but like I feel like it's all just going to be like AI soon is just going to be open sourced. Like the best AIs will just be like open sourced AIs that people are creating. Like it'll just be on my computer. Like it'll be like even if it did have the markers, like I could just run it offline. It's not connected to anything, you know?
Uh, sure. I guess I don't see any issue with somebody generating their own fake stuff offline that doesn't go out to the world. Nobody's harmed by it. I don't care.
I'm
It's basically the same as imagining it.
that is a logically consistent point. And it's totally and I can't argue with it.
That's how I
The
feel
thing
emotionally about it too.
I
I just
I
don't give
just
a shit.
I've yeah, I see, but most people won't say that. You
'Cause
know,
they're
most people don't
fucking
hold that position.
insane.
Yeah,
They're
that's
the
so.
same
This is the
people that want
point.
to kill people for thinking about things.
So this is why I'm trying to exactly. This is the 1984 world that I'm trying to get everybody to like understand is like approaching. And like theoretically, your government is going to use the things that I'm saying right now to like to tell you that's why that they need to install the 1984 AI onto your computer. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's maybe that's super tin hatty of me, but that's where I think all of this is going.
Um, I don't necessarily disagree, but at the same time, if that's what they want, I have no doubt that they'll get it. I don't think that there's a single thing we could say or do to prevent it. That's just what it is. I actually used to use an app called Tinfoil for Facebook. It was like a wrapper that made the website browser on your phone look like a Facebook app because the Facebook app like gathers more data than like literally anything. It's like a super spyware app. And at one point, I just finally gave up. I was like, you know what? It's fucking over. Okay. As far as privacy on any of your devices go, shit's done. It's over with. We lost. I'll just use the Facebook app and any other app. It doesn't fucking matter. My information's out there. I don't care. Like, I didn't have anything anyways. I just like hated the idea of willingly giving this company all this information. So I used that and I was just like, game's over, dude. It's fucking 56-2 in the fourth quarter. We lost. We're not coming back from this. We will slowly lose more and more of our digital privacy until there's none left. It is unstoppable. This isn't David versus Goliath, okay? This is David versus fucking Terminator 2. All right? David ain't got a fucking shot. John Carter ain't coming for him. Or John Connor ain't coming for him. It's
John
done.
Connor,
Down, get in the chopper.
get to the chopper.
I just can't genuinely have no idea how you could even approach the idea of winning that war.
Rudy, hit us with the final lick, and let's get out of here.
This would be my final thoughts on this topic, at least the parts that I actually knew about, which isn't really going to be about the Mr. Girl part. My final thoughts on this is basically, if you're a map, you're having thoughts of child attraction, and you feel ashamed of it, there are routes to get help. If you're not able to do that and you want to offend, then you're going to just have to deal with the social consequence. That's just like how it's going to go. If you think that there's going to be some sort of like AI generated like child porn that's going to like help like do some sort of like therapy, I just think that's like hopeful, wishful thinking, and it's not going to actually help anything. It's just going to like help offenders be even worse offenders until they go and bring it into the real world. Like that's just adding a crutch. But I think anything else is making an excuse, honestly.
I don't know, that's kind of a weird one. I never, despite what my Pornhub history might say, I've never tried a fucking amputee before, so never even considered trying.
Well,
So I don't know if that really maps onto reality.
bada, bada, boom. All right. On that note, Spicy Chat. So there's still hope for you, Spicy Chat. Go seek help. All right. See you guys later. It's been nice talking to y'all.
Better will.
And
Yeah, it's
peace,
really
guys.
nice to talk to you again. Well, it's been too long, buddy. And Rudy, you
I
too.
know. I know. We'll chat
It
soon.
was definitely an interesting conversation, Elder.
Thank you.
Peace, gang. All right, another Will and his channel in the bag. Thanks for sticking along, everybody that was here for this interesting conversation, to say the least. Throw your money. Throw some money at your boy. Give me a dono, maybe, if you enjoyed the conversation. Like, comment, subscribe. We got a couple produced videos in the works. Excuse me. We got the gang stalking phenomenon and Are Accents Racist? Those are the two next Will and his channel projects. So, have a great night, guys. Peace.